I'm here with Mary Gallo from Explora Journeys, longtime friend of Peak Travels, but with a kind of a new experience and company that we are excited to share with everyone we talk to, frankly. So Mary, we're hearing a lot of buzz about Explora, but I don't know if everybody else, especially out in the public, travelers, have heard a lot about you. You tell us who Explora is and what makes you unique and fun.
Thank you. Absolutely. We are new. We are an ocean experience. So I know you're thinking, well, okay, but what does that mean? So we are a group of ships, and we will be traveling the world in luxury fashion. But we are trying to create an experience that we refer to as the ocean state of mind, where the ocean and the ship is as important as the ports of call that you visit. We believe that there's great cruise lines out there that do your classic cruises, and they do it very well. So we're looking to bring something new and fresh and different to our guests.
Excellent. So we'll talk about, I'll ask you a little bit more about that when it comes to the ship and stuff, but tell us, I know one of the things that makes you a little different is your beginnings, which frankly is right now, but talk about your kind of born and bred in Italy. Yes, as a company and family owned.
We are indeed. So we're actually owned by a very well-known and very respected Italian family called the Aponte family from Sorrento in Italy. And the Aponte family has had a deep and ongoing love affair with the sea. They actually can trace their own roots of seafaring back 300 years. Most recently, and when I say recently, 60, 70 years ago, they founded a Mediterranean shipping company. So they were the world's largest cargo shipping company. And the Aponte family felt that it was time for them to branch out, and they wanted to create this luxury ocean experience, but again, not recreating a luxury cruise line. Their goal was to bring to life their love of the ocean, and we want our guests when they're on board with us to start to experience that as well.
So that must mean there's something different about your ships if you're feeling like you're not the standard or the long history of regular luxury cruising. So what makes you different from that perspective?
There's going to be a lot of things, I think, that will set us apart. Personally, when I talk, I always say that our ships are actually, they're part of your experience, and they just accompany you on your discovery of a region. So what we mean by that is that our ships are actually going to sail slower. We want our guests to enjoy not just what they're seeing on the coasts and the ports of call, but we want them to enjoy their experience on board. As I said, we call it an ocean state of mind. And the idea behind that is we want our guests to come on, we want them to disconnect from everything else. And isn't that why we all go on vacation? Ideally to disconnect, to reconnect with themselves, with the people with whom they're traveling, to connect with fellow travelers that they'll meet, and even with our onboard hosts, which is what we refer to as the ladies and gentlemen that will be on board taking care of our guests, and connect with the ocean and the world around them. And I can go into lots of details, if you'd like, about ways in which we're going to bring that to life.
Yeah, I actually do, because I've heard you say it's a floating hotel. It does, when you look at pictures or videos of the ships, a floating hotel. I love that because it is a boutique. So tell me physically and visually what the experience on board is going to be.
Absolutely. So they've been designed, we are, as I said, owned by an Italian family, so European heritage is very important to the Aponte family, so we are a European luxury lifestyle brand. The ships have been designed and being built in Italy, but the interiors were designed by an English gentleman by the name of Martin Francis, who is world famous for designing some of the most spectacular super yachts, the ones that if you've been to Saint-Tropez or Monte Carlo, you've probably seen them in the ports. And so the ships have been designed to be beautiful and absolutely not look like your classic cruise ship. I know you've seen some of the images that we're sharing, and they're breathtaking, and you could show them to any one of your clients and say, where is this? And they would probably say, I think that's the Bulgari Hotel in Milan, or I think that might be the lobby of the Four Seasons New York. These really will be 4 ultra luxury resorts, as I said, that will sort of accompany our guests on their ocean experience.
So tell me a little bit more, and our guests and followers, about the restaurants? What do the I want to say cabins, but you call them suites.
We call them, I love it.
So.
I love it when my clients pay attention. Yeah, so let me tell you a little bit about that. I suppose I should start with that. So we will have 461 suites, and it really is sweet. So for anyone who is interested in joining us, especially if you have some of your clients who have been somewhat curious but have thought, I don't want to get on a cruise ship. Maybe they're like me and they travel with 14 suitcases for a day trip and they're thinking there's not enough room. We will have our lead-in category will be 300 square feet of interior space with a terrace of 77 square feet. And as many of you know, that's the size of many luxury hotel rooms in New York. And they only become progressively larger and more spectacular. We want our guests to feel very much like they're in their home at sea. So we will have 461 suites. We'll have a lot of connecting suites. So for people that are traveling as families, perhaps multi-generational families, groups of friends who travel well together and like to have that connection, we'll have that opportunity. For those 461 suites, we will have 9 dining venues. And that is, and you of course know this as well as I, extraordinary in the ocean space. No one has that many opportunities and varieties. So we'll have your classic all-day breakfast, lunch, and dinner restaurant. We will have a Pan-Asian and a steakhouse and a Mediterranean and kind of a coffee house and some really exciting ones that I can't quite share yet. So stay tuned, people. Come back to your Peak Travel team and they'll keep you posted as we announce these things. But lots of opportunities to enjoy an incredible dining experience and to be with us on board 7 or 10 days and not go to the same place twice.
Yeah, that's big. I was very impressed. So with those suites, about 900 as a guest count if it was sold out.
Yeah.
So to have 9 choices among that many guests, I think
it's unheard of. It really
changer.
is. It's a game changer in the industry indeed. And may I also say we will have 10 bars and lounges. Now, what we won't have, and for any of your folks that have been on other cruise ships, almost every one of them will have a big club or a lounge, depending on what they call it, and it's got the big Broadway show. We will not have that, because that again is not what we're looking to create. We will have these 10 bars and lounges where there'll be entertainment every evening, but it'll be smaller, more intimate, more authentic. We will have a lot of destination entertainment that we'll be bringing on board. So if we're departing a port in Spain, maybe it'll be flamenco guitar that evening in one of the lounges. We'll also have what we're calling luminaries, and these will be guests who will come on board who are quite famous for whatever they're famous for. I know that sounds silly, but it could be somebody who's famous and maybe they're a famous artist or they're a famous historian, whatever it might be. And they will be on board with us at different times of the year and doing lectures and talks, etc. So we'll definitely have no shortage of entertainment, and we will have a casino for those people who want to try their luck, make their fortune while they're on board with us.
That's great. Let's talk about the family scenario, because I really was intrigued that many of the cabins suites prepare for to host families, and it's priced accordingly that, our Peak team can obviously clarify that, but tell me about the focus on families and how you're going to accommodate them, and what would the kids do on board?
So that we are owned by a family with kids. And the Aponte family, I think one of their goals in setting something different was they realized that in the current situation, you have cruise ships that are meant for families with kids that either they're very, very large, as in thousands of passengers, and that's fine, or you have the Disney type experience, that's also fine, both phenomenal products. But we know that there is an element of traveler that travels with their families. We would say demographics kind of in the 40-ish, 50-ish, the kids are still at home. These are your clients that you're sending to luxury resorts around the world. And they perhaps have not even considered an ocean experience because they don't want to be on a ship with 5,000 people. They don't want to be on a ship with Mickey Mouse all day, every day. They want that ultra luxury experience they're used to getting at these land resorts. So they're not even thinking that it's an option. So with us, it absolutely will be. As I mentioned, we have a lot of the connecting suites. We certainly do have attractive pricing for parents when they're bringing their children. And we call them our young explorers. So we will actually have 3 different spaces on board. dedicated to different ages of children. And so we'll have some place for kids that are somewhere between, say, 3 and 6, toddlers type thing. We'll have a 7 to 12-year-old, and then we'll have a teen space, because we also know that a 14-year-old is certainly not going to want to be in the same space as an 8-year-old. So what's really nice is that there will be activities that the kids will enjoy. They'll get a chance to meet other kids. We don't anticipate the ship will be 50, 60, 70% family, but the point is they will be very welcomed and very entertained and very happy while they're with us. Now, on the flip side, just as a little note, we will also have 4 swimming pools, and 1 will be an adults only. Because we also recognize there could be that very same couple who finally got grandma and grandpa to babysit the kids, and they want to get away, and they don't want to get on a ship full of screaming kids. So we really think it's going to be that savvy, sophisticated family that travels around the world in ultra-luxury resorts, and that can now consider traveling around the world in an ocean experience with us.
Yeah,
Does
I
that
like
make
that,
sense?
because there are times, obviously, we have kids, and they do travel with us a lot, but
Absolutely.
on those occasions where Jim and I actually can go by ourselves, no offense, the last thing I want is a
No,
3-year-old. So
Understood.
the
Absolutely.
pool, the spa, I mean,
Yes.
there's plenty of the lounges or the adult kind of
Absolutely.
areas to hang out. There's
Yes,
plenty
we'll
of
have
mix.
plenty. As I said, we'll have plenty of opportunities for parents, couples, whatever it is, to be in an adult environment, enjoying themselves, but still know that the kids are very happy and very entertained.
Yeah.
And I do think any kind of an ocean experience is always a wonderful educational experience for kids. They don't know they're being educated, and that's kind of the beauty of it. But they will learn so much of the history of the world, geography, geology, climate change, all of the different things that come into play when you start to visit parts of the world. If I may, one of the areas we'll be visiting is we're going to do wonderful itineraries in 2024 in Alaska. And I think it is the most fascinating place for families to visit, because the kids can do exciting things, they can do very active things, they could do glacier hiking, they can be kayaking when a pod of dolphins will breach in front of them. So they're having the most exciting time. They don't even realize what an education they're getting. And that's kind of a perk, because if they feel like they're getting educated, then they're like, oh gosh, I'm back in school. But they're having the time of their lives, and yet they're coming away with an understanding of the environment and the world, and that you could never get in a classroom.
Yeah, for sure. Or by just staying in a hotel room.
Indeed.
Necessarily. So before we leave the topic of kind of who makes a good guest, we know couples, we know families. Talk about solo travel, because you guys have designed some things, and even some of the suite categories or suites,
Yes.
and the experiences around. It's such a good opportunity for solo travelers.
It absolutely is. And I would say, quite honestly, I think any cruise line of any level is always a good option for a solo traveler, because he or she will really only be alone if they so choose. And I think there's so many scenarios where you have people who have traveled together, and maybe they lose their partner, one of the partners just no longer wants to travel, whatever the situation is, there's that other person who still wants to get out and do things. And they don't necessarily want to do it always by themselves. So that is the beauty of any kind of an ocean experience. For us, we don't force them together. I think that's also important, because obviously if you're a sophisticated traveler, you don't need someone to hold your hand. But we do bring them together. We'll have opportunities for them to meet one another. And friendships just sort of happen very organically. For the ladies, I will say it's quite nice in the evening. They'll only dine alone if they so choose. Otherwise, we'll always have someone from the officers who will dine with them. But it is a great way for someone who has traveled together and their partner is no longer traveling, or it could be somebody who's just always traveled on their own and is very independent. That's equally fine. But you're always going to be surrounded by like-minded people. You'll make lots of friends. You'll have people and opportunities to go and enjoy some of the shore experiences, etc. So it's a wonderful way for a solo traveler to travel but not be alone.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so literally, the Explora 1 is being built.
Yes.
Being created right now. The inaugural first cruise or experience will be May 31st.
May 31st from Barcelona to Athens. So we have actually 4 ships. They'll be coming out one a year for 4 years, and the first one is again Explora 1. And she will make her maiden voyage on May 31st. She will be ready before then. We had what is known in the world of ships as the float out ceremony. It's a very important moment ceremonial in the life of a ship, and it's when the hull of the ship touches the water for the first time, and we had that about 3 weeks ago. The ships are being built in the Fincantieri shipyard in Italy, and so we had the chairman of Fincantieri, you also had the CEO of Explora Journeys there, and they both confirmed to our honored guests that the ship would be ready to go on May 18th, so she'll be ready a good 2 weeks before our first journey. So I would certainly say to any of your guests that are possibly considering us, I think they could book even the inaugural and be very, very confident that we're going to be ready to go and whisk them away to an unforgettable experience.
I also love that you're considering your entire first year as independent inaugural sailings, because we do have some people who are avid ocean experiencers or cruisers, and that would be very appealing. And then if people who haven't tried it yet might find that really fun. So tell me about some of the other inaugural sailings. Where you can all go.
It is kind of unique, and so for some of your clients who are avid cruisers, maybe they've been fortunate enough to be able to get on an inaugural. It is very ceremonial, a little bit more pomp and circumstance, a few more fun things. You usually get some kind of little souvenirs to bring home. It's just being able to, almost bragging rights, if you will. That was on the inaugural. But if you know, you know. And it's hard because there's only one inaugural for a ship. And if you have a company that's got a lot of passengers and sail with them for years and years and years, it can be very challenging. So because we are a new brand, and everywhere we go, the first time it'll be new to us, we have decided to do a series of 8 inaugurals. So our initial inaugural, as I said, May 31st, Barcelona to Athens. We'll spend May and June in the Mediterranean, and then work our way up to Northern Europe in July. We'll inaugural number 2. And then we're going to the UK for a couple of weeks. Inaugural number 3 will be Iceland and Greenland. Mm-hmm. And then we're coming over to North America, inaugural number 4, and that will be Canada and the Eastern Seaboard. I always say it's kind of a leaf peeping, so it's that beautiful time of year to sail down the Eastern Seaboard. Inaugural number 5 will be in the Caribbean, and we'll spend the festive season in Caribbean. And I have to say, for any of your family travelers, there's no better option and frankly no better value for festive than an ocean experience of some kind. I know, and you know this about me, I came to the ocean side of things after many years in luxury hotels and resorts, and those, with the length of stay and the way the prices increase, it can become daunting, and we are truly an incredible value now more than ever, but certainly over festive. Then Explora One will zip down to Rio, as one does for Carnival. Certainly going to have an inaugural there. Go up through the Panama Canal, over to Hawaii, inaugural, and then Alaska, and we'll have one there too. So for any of your guests who have always wanted to do that and again never been able to get on that original inaugural, we're going to give them 8 opportunities. So one of them is bound to work.
Yes. Well, that's great, and obviously we will be sharing a lot with our clients because there's only so many seats on each cruise, and
absolutely.
It's kind of an important year. So okay, a couple more things. We have several clients who are loyal cruisers. Always love the experience, would agree and nod their head with everything you say. How do we convince people who don't think they're a cruiser that they should give it a try? And particularly on Explora, you're talking about a very different experience than maybe what they might stereotype.
Yeah, so, and I will say, I just mentioned to your audience that I spent 20-some years in the luxury land side of things. I was a card-carrying anti-cruiser, so I really know of what I speak. And when I joined my former employer, before I came to this new brand, even my husband said, well, why are you working for them? You hate cruising. I said, oh, I do, but I'm going to see what it's all about. What I would say is this, is I think the way I would recommend that someone who is a not yet cruiser,
I like that,
is to look at it this way. So if you're going to a part of the world, and I'll use the Mediterranean where we'll be starting as an example, maybe, and I'm going to say probably a big percentage of your clients have traveled there. They might have done a couple of weeks in Italy, or maybe they've done the south of France, whatever it might be. If you do a Mediterranean cruise, it's like taking truly a stroll down memory lane, and you go into a port, you're like, oh my God, you know what, this is what I so love about Italy. It's just so much fun, and this is the lifestyle and the wine. And you go to sleep outside of Rome, and you wake up and you're in Florence. You have this amazing experience. You go to sleep in Florence, you wake up, now you're in the south of France. And while the Mediterranean has a lot of similarities, as you know, of course, these destinations are all very different. I would also say it's a great way to discover someplace, and I like to use Northern Europe as an example for that, because, and I am very much stereotyping, but I find whereas Americans gravitate to Western Europe, Southern Europe, Northern Europe isn't always high on their list for whatever reason, and yet it is spectacular. Stockholm is gorgeous, Copenhagen, Helsinki, all of the Scandinavian countries are beautiful. So it's a great way for your clients who are very well traveled. Maybe they're again, big European fans, but they have seen so much of the Western, Southern, even Eastern with the Greek Isles, to do a ocean experience in Northern Europe. Because what I guarantee will happen is they're going to come home and go, oh my God, I want to go spend 2 weeks there. It's incredible. But they're not quite convinced that it's great enough to go and commit to that 2 week. So it is, I always say it's like going to a tasting restaurant. You get the tasting menu, you get a little sample of this, and then the next course you get a little sample of this, and it carries on for 6, 7, 8 courses, just like it would 6, 7, 8 days. You might like the first one, like the second one, hate the third one, adore the fourth one. You now know when you go back to that restaurant more of what you want and what you don't want. And ocean experiences where you're visiting different places gives you that same opportunity to say what you want more of and what you think you're good with.
I think that's, I love the analogy. I think a lot of people will immediately
It's
relate
exactly
to that.
how it is. Yeah.
All right, so now that we share and tell everybody we know about Explora Journeys, is tell our guests more about, if they work with Peak, what benefits they might be able to get from us because we're such good partners.
You are, absolutely. I just have to say, first of all, if you're not working with a travel professional, I don't understand it. I always say you don't go to your doctor and say, hey, give me just a quick little physical, but I don't want to pay for it. My travel advisor partners know the world. They have forgotten more things than most of us will ever know about the world. And it's certainly, if the past few years have taught us anything, it's the importance of working with a travel professional who understands how to manage challenges, how to manage issues. I'm not anticipating challenges and issues on Explora Journeys, let me just say that. But I think it is so important to have that expertise and to even match the itinerary with the guest, because someone could call you up and say, I want to do this, you know them so well, you're going to realize that actually I would recommend you go here. So when you book an Explora Journeys experience with Peak Travel, because you are one of our key partners, your guests will receive a €300, not dollar, because we're a European company, what we call a journey experience credit, and that is actually a credit to be used on board. Now we're very inclusive, but they could use it towards one of our incredible spa experiences or one of our destination experiences, which your guests who are very savvy and have done other cruise lines would know as a shore excursion. Ours will be very different than the traditional shore excursion, but so therefore they are not included in the cost of the journey, and this Journeys Experience credit could be used for that.
Great. And can it be used for spa or
Absolutely.
other things? It's basically
Yes.
the equivalent of a shipboard credit.
100%. And we have a barbershop on board. So for the gentlemen who have cruised in the past and said, I've let my hair grow long on the sailing because I wasn't going to go sit with all the ladies in the ladies' hair salon, you don't have to. You can use your Journeys Experience credit, go get a lovely haircut and shave in a very classic male barbershop. Yes, absolutely you can. Or now, premium spirits and fine wines are included in your suites, in the bars and restaurants, in the lounges, and throughout. But if you have particularly extraordinarily sophisticated tastes and you want a $219 snifter of Louis XVI cognac, we'd be happy to serve that to you.
Compliments of Peak.
Compliments of Peak. And that's pretty much what it would cost, by the way, is €300. But what a fine snifter of cognac that will be.
A treat, yes.
Sip it.
Yes.
Not to be chunked.
Well, Mary, thank you for spending time with us. We can't wait to tell everybody about Explora and hope to get several of our guests on as your inaugural year is about to
Thank
kick off.
you. Well, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to share who we are and what we are with your clients. We're so excited to come with something new, something we believe will be very unique, that nice European luxury. If I can just mention one thing that I should have, and I want to apologize, but we are European luxury, but we are not ultra formal. And I think that's kind of an important for the American audience to know. We will not have a formal dress code, we will not have a formal night. To all of the gentlemen listening, thinking, I don't want to get on there because I'm not going to pack a suit and tie on my vacation, and there are more and more of them, that will not be a requirement with us. So we know our guests will be very well traveled, certainly be very sophisticated, everyone will look very smart. I think it's going to be resort casual during the day, resort chic. And one of my colleagues says it very well, jackets are neither required nor refused. So you can look as sophisticated as you want, you can be as comfortable as you want. And I'm going to end with this. We just named our, what we call the master of the ship, our captain. It's an Italian woman,
Yay!
Selena Milani. So very progressive.
That's excellent.
So we thank you so much to both of you and to the team at Peak. We certainly hope to have many of your guests on board with us very, very soon. So thanks so much.
Thank you.